Meeting will come to order. Ms. Gore, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Benjamin?
Here.
Ms. Fletcher?
Present.
Ms. Williams?
Present.
Dr. Diop?
Present.
Mr. Lamar?
Present.
I am going to ask our special guests from Arlington Elementary, the math team, if they would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and also if you would remain standing for a moment of silence. Math team, we're ready when you are. Moment of silence. Thank you. We have a great presentation, I know, tonight, and I'm going to ask Mr. Booker, an assistant principal at Arlington Elementary, if he would introduce our guests for us.
I will, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I would like to present to you Mrs. Tomlinson, Mrs. Ogle, our perennial math team, the students. Ms. Tomlinson learned about the perennial math program at an Apex conference in 2015. During that time, she was able to create a fourth and fifth grade team.
Mr. Booker, will you go to the mic so we can we're recording? Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know you're thrilled about recording, but
Oh, goodness. I wasn't expecting to be recorded, but I'll go
that's
ahead.
right.
But during the 2015
Thank you.
school year, that's when she actually learned about the program. And then that following year, she created a team using our fourth and fifth grade students. Those fourth and fifth grade students then participated in a online tournament as well as a live tournament at Christian Brothers University.
Wow.
The following year, which is this year, she managed to bring that team, or bring that program here to Arlington, and they actually had 2 live tournaments at Arlington High School. That tournament brought well over 300 different groups of students from around the region to participate in that program. She also helped help the Donaldson School start up their own perennial program as well. Mrs. Thomason did. This year she worked with those students starting in the month of September. The students were able to, they were asked to give up precious afternoons to be able to come and hone those math skills. So week after week after week, these students gave up their afternoons to participate in this program and to develop those skills. So tonight, I just want to say a special thank you for the parents for allowing their students to participate in this program. And I would like to thank Ms. Thompson and Ms. Ogle for giving up their time to work with these students, because these are the minds of our STEM students of the future. So if we will, let's give Ms. Thompson and Ms. Ogle a round of applause. And Mrs. Tomlinson is now going to come up and she's going to introduce those students to you.
Thank you, Mr. Booker.
I have a quick slideshow that I wanted to share. So this will just scroll as I talk. So first of all, thank you, Mr. Booker, for that, and to the ACS board and district office for having us here tonight. We were very excited when we found out that we would be asked, we would be part of this meeting. It's very special to me that I work for this district and the town in which I live, and I have the most wonderful and supportive administrative team that allows us to participate in things like this. So first of all, I'm so proud of these students. They did such a great job this year, each and every week. They attended math practice after school and showed so much excitement for it. If they earned a 5 or 6, which was the highest score that they could achieve, we could hear screams throughout the building because they were so excited for it. I believe it was a challenge to them, and like one they haven't experienced before. So the hard work and persistence really paid off for them. I did first learn about perennial math in 2015. It was founded by Dr. Sylvia Dean, and she did this to offer students more venues to showcase their math talents and to help teachers develop their math skills in the classroom. So the slideshow that is scrolling does show some pictures of some of our events and some of the problems that they faced this year, everywhere from consecutive numbers to probability to algebra. They started doing algebra in 4th grade, ratios, multiples, and everything, you name it, we did it this year. So they're basically taking the skills that they are learning in the regular classroom, and we're adding another layer of application and complexity to it. So the goals of the program were to develop excitement for problem solving, persistence and hard work, teamwork and collaboration, communication to demonstrate thinking, recognition of different approaches to problem solving, and encouragement by learning from mistakes. Many students learn perseverance and what that means during this time, but most importantly, I feel they have developed a love of mathematics. So I hope that grows with them as they continue to grow as individuals. So thank you again for having us, and I will begin to call our math students. I'll start with 4th graders, Kevin Alvarez. I also want to add that some of these students have medals because they finished in the top 10th percentile for students across the country that competed in the online tournaments. And as a team, we won a Team Champion Award for finishing in the top 10th percentile for students across the country, for teams across the country. Ellie Arnold. Dayton Boer. Savannah Hommel. Machia Silva. Scott Yelland. Xander Cantrell. Chloe Hall. Joshua Huggins. Jack Jordan. Carlin Lott. Sydney Myers. Philip Sharp. Joshua Ducey. Denver Hollingsworth. Anderson Chris. Nathan Linnell. Hayes Onsby. Aiden Dodd. And last but not least,
Here he is.
Carson Twig. Jacob Strand. Good job, boys and girls. Y'all did a wonderful job this year.
If you would, wait, and we're going to get a group picture of you, so if y'all just stay right where you are, that'd be great. Or Mr. Hill, you want to take over? We'll let you get them together.
I'm going to get in the middle right here, so I'll need maybe 3 rows. So all the tall ones in the back, shorter ones in the front. All right, and then start over.
Thank you, Mr. Booker, Ms. Tomlinson. Thank all of Arlington Elementary. Ms. Turner, thank y'all all so much. And parents, thank you so much for supporting your children in this great program. And I appreciate you coming tonight. But let me just give you a little present. If you do not want to stay for the whole meeting, we do understand that. So we will give you a couple of minutes if you would like to go ahead and leave, or you may stay. It is certainly up to you. But we do appreciate your coming, and thank you so much for this great work and this great program. So we'll let you leave if you need to right now. Thank you, Jenny.
He'd probably fall out of the chair if y'all stayed.
I know.
Well, I would never expect it.
He said I would have never expected him to stay. Maybe more.
Okay. Ms. Gore, do we have any citizens' comments? All right, we'll move on. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Second.
All right, I'd like to add an item to the agenda. The agenda
Mr.
item,
Biox?
the agenda item would be as follows. Recommendation to award Durham School Services, LP, the bid for ACS pupil transportation using Durham's 12-year fleet bid for the term of August 1st, 2018 through July 31st, 2021, and to grant the board's executive committee the authority to negotiate and approve the terms of said agreement.
I second it.
Perfect.
All right, you've heard the motion to add an item to the agenda. All those in favor of adding an item to the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The item will be on the agenda, 10G.
Perfect.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Motion. Second.
All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The agenda is amended as approved, and is approved. All right. Let's move on to reports, and I have a report that I would like to share with you, Chairman's report. With the help of Ms. Gore, we have come up with our school board meeting calendar for 2018-19, and I sent that to you by email, so I hope everybody has their copy. Also, I am working with Ms. Gore. She and I are doing a lot of work together. We're working on the annual calendar for 2018-19, and I'm hoping to have that ready for you in May. We're waiting for board academies to be listed from TSBA, so you can have this information readily available. And we have all the board meeting dates on there, and just hopefully helpful information, and to let you know monthly what could be placed on our agendas each month. But you do know that some of this may be tentative depending on how things go. So just want you to know we're trying to get some information together for you. So I appreciate Ms. Gore's help with that. Also, I'm working on the school board self-evaluation, and I should have that ready for you in May to look at. And any suggestions that, once I give that to you, that you may have for me, please make sure you give those to me. But I should have that ready for you in May. Also, as you know, our transcripts to TSBA are due June the 30th. I'm proud to report that all 5 of us have ours already filled out and ready to go, so we're way ahead of the game. I think that's great. Transcripts are ready to go. Also, I wanted to share with you that Mr. Benjamin and Ms. Fletcher and I attended a TSBA workshop on School Safety Summit, and there was a lot of good information. We each received this wonderful book with a lot of good information in it, so we'll be glad to share this with you at any time. The three presentations that really stood out for me was school counselors and mental health. There was a lady from Vanderbilt University who spoke to us about that, which she was excellent. The role of the SROs in a crisis situation. There was 2 SROs that did this presentation that was very impressive. And also the last one that I thought was really good, and Ms. Fletcher, Mr. Benjamin, if y'all have anything to add, you certainly may. Also, the crisis communication, what local law enforcement needs from schools. This was a Sheriff, Jeff Long, from Williamson County, and he was very impressive too. So I'll be glad to share any of this information with anyone who would like to have it. But it was a good summit, I thought. And certainly timely, for sure. Also, Ms. Mason, I did want to ask you a question about student entertainment proposal for the TSBA convention. Do you think we could?
We have. I've been in conversations with Mr. Goforth about that, and he has a couple ideas and has sent that to those sponsors. And so we are testing the waters on that.
Good. Thank you, Ms. Mason. I appreciate that very much. All right, we will move on, and the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. I have a few items tonight, and Mr. Mayo does as well, to share. First, I just want to give the board an update on our strategic plan that the board adopted last month. They've been hard at work. All of you have been involved in some capacity on that work. The committees have been working tirelessly. Where we are right now is that, and I also want to add, is that we have had tremendous community support for this plan, and bringing that from their perspective on what our work, or what our roadmap should look like over the next 5 years. We're very proud of that. We've also sent out a survey, and we had 1,269 community responses to our survey, and that's community responses. And we've had 206 employee response to the survey. That information was shared with each of the committees, and they used that information as they're forming their work to present to the board. The strategic team leads will be meeting tomorrow to pull all the strands together and to review closely to make sure that each aligns to each other. And then once that document is pulled together, the executive staff will review the rough draft, and then at that point, I will be bringing it to the board for consideration for approval. So we are on target with that work. This is some of the most important work that we do. As we talked last month, will create a roadmap for myself and our staff over the next 5 years. Additionally, I do want to give the board an update. As you know, we discussed at the last meeting, Bellevue no longer is, we're in a rental agreement with them for Arlington High School. We have had some interest in that facility. As of today, I have notified River City Church that we will begin the negotiations for them to rent that facility going forward. And that will be a process. It looks like they probably will not actually start having their first service until the fall, and that will not be every Sunday for a while. And so we're working on that. We're really excited to continue to offer our facilities to different entities, but this is will be a rental agreement as Bellevue was. Also, additionally, I have met with Faith Baptist, and we are also working on a contract regarding Faith Baptist to rent Donaldson. And that would start July 1. So I just wanted to inform the board of those two items. And lastly, before I turn it over to Mr. Mayo, I did want to bring to your attention, you have before you that Mr. Hill has done. He continues to do outstanding work for us in the communication since he's been on board. You'll see a press release that he has sent out regarding the Arlington High School Theater captured 7 nominations for Footloose from the Orpheum High School Musical Theater. And that press release that you see outlines the different areas that they have been nominated, and you have other press releases there. And so I just want to say that Mr. Hill continues to be a beacon of information for us to share with the public, and he's been working closely with the media on a different couple projects, but wanted to share that with you since that is timely with the board meeting. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Mayo.
Just want to give everybody a quick update, staffing update. All schools and central office are fully staffed, with the exception we have 1 teaching position open at Arlington Middle, and we have 1 school counselor position due to a retirement open at Arlington Middle, and then we have 1 teaching position at the high school, and then 1 clerical position that's still open. So we've done a lot of staffing already this year for next school year. So we know there'll still be changes over the summer, but our method of operation is to be on top of these as quickly as we know about them so that we can still get good candidates to fill these positions. Both principals are interviewing actively this week, so I expect these positions to be filled by the end of the week. As you know, I've talked about recruitment. Before we finished our recruitment season, we were able to visit 15 or participate in 15 recruitment activities. That includes our own career fair that we hosted here. Teacher interns, we were notified last week by the University of Memphis that we will again have been selected to host teacher interns. And this year we'll have interns at all 4 of our schools. I don't think that's ever happened since we've been in the district, that we've had interns at the same time at all 4 schools. And so we're real excited about that, because a lot of times those are the people that we look to put in our recruitment pool and to actually hire when we have vacant positions open, and they've had a year of experience working in our district. And so they're very prepared to do that. Payroll calendars, we're in the process of finalizing our payroll calendars for next year. As you know, we will be managing payroll ourselves for the first time effective July 1st. And so we're making sure that we have all of those I's dotted and T's crossed, because that's one of the areas that we don't want to mess up on. And our staff is receiving a lot of ongoing training, so we feel confident that we'll be able to make that transition seamlessly. Open enrollment for our employees for benefits is coming up. That we'll have faculty meetings scheduled for the first full week in May, and then the next week will be open enrollment, where every employee has to meet with a representative from American Fidelity to whether they're participating or not. They have to declare, I'm not participating in benefits, or I do want to participate, and this is the plan or plans that I would like to participate in for next year. We will be sending out, and you'll get this because you'll be on that email blast, a 1-sheet flyer that will contain all the information about the meetings. There will be a link to the new benefits brochure for next year. There will also be a link to the scheduler so that they can schedule their appointment with a representative, because we feel like our employees are busy, so we'll give them that 1 sheet, and it's like a one-stop shop for them to get their benefits taken care of for next year. That'll go out hopefully by the end of this week. Ms. Mason touched on some of the things in the communications world that Mr. Hill's been working on. He also asked me to let you all know that we are under contract for a new website, and Tyler and Amy will be having a kickoff meeting with the company, and hopefully we'll be going live with that new website either late July or early August, depending on how that transition goes. You know, our website, we've changed twice. This will be the third website edition that we've had, and this one they'll keep getting better as we do that. And so we have someone now who knows a little bit more about that than we did when we started the district. So we're excited to see what that new website's going to look like, and a lot more user-friendly is the goal. And that concludes the information that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayo. I do want to inform the board of one thing before I turn it over, is immediately following our meeting, if you all aren't doing anything, the high school is having their annual art show. And so it starts at 6 o'clock, and if you have not had, I think all of you had the opportunity to be there, the talent that our kids have, but just wanted to make the board aware of that. And with that, that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mason. And thank you, Mr. Mayo. General Counsel report?
Very
Ms. Beekman?
briefly, if you have not turned in the superintendent's evaluation, I need that by no later than next Monday. If you have any problems in transmitting that, please contact Glenda. The second item is that, as you know, the legislature is going to close this week, finally, yay. And rather than, give you sort of a bifurcated, analysis of what's gone on, I'll spare you and take up your time next month in dealing with that. So know that you've got that torture to go through next month, some long-winded stuff from me. So that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Beekman. Financial report?
Ms. Roberts is out. Ms. Gore sent you all an email. Hopefully you've had time to review the financial report and contact Ms. Roberts if you have any questions. If you do have any other questions, she should be back tomorrow, I believe, and so you can check with her on those.
Thank you. TLN report, Mr. Viox.
I'm gonna piggyback off what General Counsel said, and I'm gonna get with her and we'll give you a synopsis of everything that happened in the next board meeting.
All right, and the NSBA report, Mr. Viox?
Well, I guess most people know, certainly the board knows, that I had the opportunity to go to the National School Board convention that was in San Antonio. It was the first time any of us had been, so it was I didn't know what to expect. And I will say right off the bat, I was absolutely wrong about one thing. And when I said, initially when we were talking about it, I said, well, I don't know if a new board member would really benefit. And that's absolutely incorrect. They had so much kind of an immersion kind of thing. Like every day there was no new school board member stuff. And I really think you could have gotten a lot from it. And I spoke with the superintendent and the chairman, and I don't know if it was official, but I suggested that when I talked to a lot of the other boards there, that they went on a 3 and 2 schedule, where 3 board members went one year and 2 went the next, and they rotated that way. And I mentioned to both of them, and I do believe both of them thought that was a good idea. So that may be something that we look at, hopefully, as a board. I got in late, I left late, and I got there I think about 1 a.m. and then started at 7 a.m. Friday. I mean, it was like a sprint. I mean, there's the amount of stuff is staggering. This just represents, I think, 5 handouts that I had. Well, I went to like 25 different things while I was there. So this is I ran out of paper, actually, so I stopped printing, but I want to pass that around just to kind of give you an idea. Obviously, school security was huge. There was a lot of classes on school security, and I didn't really go to any of those because that wasn't my interest. I know we've talked about it, and it's important, and we're working on plans and all that stuff, so I just didn't feel the need to do that. But I didn't go to any of the new board stuff either, but just based on the quality of the things that I have here, it would have been really good. So I'd encourage people I think next year is Philadelphia. Is that right? I think Philadelphia and then Chicago the following year. And so if you guys can work your schedules out, and I know we looked at some of the budget for it, it was just phenomenal. But anyway, it was a ton of walking, walking to the place, and the place was just unbelievably massive. I mean, we go to the TSBA thing and we think that it's hard to walk around there. This place was huge. I mean, there were thousands of people there. It was amazing. I don't really want to get into a lot of other details if anybody has any specific questions, but I do want you to look at a couple of those things. I have 30 different topics that I'm going to try and just kind of put a list down. If any of those things interest you, I have handouts from all of them, all of the things that I went to. And I'd be happy to print those when I buy some more paper. Or it's an email thing. So it was all digital, which was really kind of cool. So they have an app, and you download the app, and you set your schedule on the app, and it was really, it was TSBA times 100. It just was just everything you can imagine, you know, from a 50,000 foot view versus our little 20,000 foot view that we have in Tennessee. And one thing that you do, and I spoke with the superintendent over lunch today about, is how really blessed we are as a district. It's amazing to go out there and hear some of these stories from these other districts and boards and all that stuff. But probably Monday afternoon, after I finished the trip to Brooks Army Medical Center, I was sitting in a little cafe inside the convention center, and there were people everywhere, and it was just a 2-person table, and so there was one chair open, and literally as I sat there, every 10 or 15 minutes, somebody else would sit down and just say, "Hey, can I sit here?" I said, "Of course." I'm like, "Where are you from?" And literally I talked to probably 20 people that day from all over the country. It was just fascinating, the things that they were concerned about and all that stuff. So really, I got so fired up at this thing, you know, when you, like you do, you know, you go to your first one, you just get so fired up and you just want to do a lot more stuff. So and the chairman and I are going to talk about a few things that I shared with the superintendent today, and also Ms. Speakman about some things that I want to do. So it was great, highly worth it. I think that the next, you know, however we do it, 2 and 3 or whatever, I think the next group of people ought to really, really consider going as well. Even the new guys, you know, honestly, because I just had no idea there was that much new board stuff there. And that's some really interesting topics, like who really runs the school district, the chairman or the board or the superintendent. It was a lot of get along with the superintendent kind of stuff, which we don't.
Hey, what was the answer to that?
We don't.
Funny, my meetings are get along with the board.
That may have been one of the ones I printed. So, but
That
you
is
know,
too funny.
I encourage you guys, if you can work your schedules out, it will just amp you up. It was just electric. It was really fun. Terry Bradshaw was wildly inappropriate. He was such a great speaker, but I was sitting with this little old lady, and she obviously was from Illinois is all I could find out, but I think it was like a really liberal like part of Chicago, and she just she gasped the whole time every time he said something, but I thought it was super entertaining, and he was really good. So, and they had 2 general sessions which were kind of the same thing. They had a lot of good speakers and stuff, and it just really got you excited about public school. So
That's a good thing.
yeah, it was awesome.
Right. Then we will move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda? Or item?
So moved.
Second.
Approve.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. We will move on to miscellaneous budget amendment. Resolution 2018-07 of the Arlington Community Schools Board of Education amending the 2017-18 schools budget. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Superintendent Mason.
Yeah, these are just the normal monthly budget amendments, especially as we're nearing the end of this fiscal year. There's not a lot this month. So with that, my recommendation is to approve 2017-18 schools budget amendment.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. All those in favor? Oh, is there any discussion? I apologize. Any discussion on that? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the motion's carried. We'll move on to business action items. Recommendation to award the bid for general contracting services for Arlington Middle School roof project to Jolly I'm gonna say Jolly Furniture. Project to Jolly Roofing and Contracting and Company in the amount of $677,550, and recommendation to grant the superintendent the authority to negotiate the terms of the related contract. Do we have a motion?
Could you restate that, please?
Sure. Would you like me to say it in another way?
I so move.
Yeah, second.
Is there any discussion?
He's not.
Any discussion on roofing? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Yeah, that was a tongue twister. for sure.
I do want to let the board know that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I just
no,
left
you're
you
fine.
out.
No, you're fine. I do want to let you know in case there
I'm
are any
already
questions.
taking over, see, and SBA was right.
No, that's fine. I just want to, we have our architect here that's going to oversee the project with Jolly Roofing, and so I wanted to introduce you. This is Tony, and he's been doing a lot of work working with Mr. Ruff, and so he is here in case there are any questions. I will tell you that we were very pleased with this bid, the amount that it came in, and we look forward to the work and have great respect for the work that Tony does, and he will manage that project without us having to worry about it.
I do apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming.
All right, let me slow down here. All right, let's go to the next business item, approval of annual 5-year CIP update. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded, and Superintendent Mason?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just want to mention a few things. We have been talking about this over the last few months and did really a lot of the work that you see before you in our January meeting. I do just want to highlight that on page 2, the capital projects that we completed, that we will have completed by this fiscal year, June 30th, will total just right under $5 million. There's been a lot of work done this year, with the majority of that being the completion of the facility that we're in now. You will see going forward as you go through on pages 4 and 5, those are the projected projects through FY21. And we're really excited next year. We have a lot of work that we've put on here, the largest project being the completion of the middle school gym, with some other important projects, which will, once again, will be close to that $5 million mark. I'll be happy to take any specific questions. I think we have had discussions about all of the proposed projects on this list. Once the board approves this, then we will be placing it on our website for the community to see as well. So with that is my recommendation to approve the 5-year CIP update, and we'll be happy to answer any specific questions.
Any questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and motion's carried.
This is great work, though. It really is.
Absolutely.
Incredible work.
I have to say, absolutely.
I want to
Absolutely.
say,
Future.
really a special thank you. Mr. Ruff is managing all of these projects, and it's a lot to manage with. You look at all the different vendors and contractors that sometimes don't show up and sometimes don't call you back. And so we are looking forward to the completion of this project and then next year. I really do anticipate by the time we end FY20, we will have at that time will be 6 years of operations to be where we need to be with all of our buildings, taking care of all of our deferred maintenance for each of our 4 buildings.
Absolutely. I was with Miss Mason the other day, and we were walking in the front door of the high school, and I said, it just looks so good. It does. It just looks great. Everywhere you go, you can just see a big difference. Thank you. 10C, recommendation to approve inclement weather days. I bet that's why y'all stayed, right?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Superintendent Mason?
It is my recommendation that we use 5 stockpile days to make up for the 5 inclement weather days that we had for this snow season. As you know, as the board knows, we have 13 stockpile days, and one of the 2 reasons that is allowed by state law to utilize those days is the inclement weather. So with that, it is my recommendation that we use 5 of those days and not extend the end of the school year.
100%.
Well,
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Any discussion?
We want to dodge the Facebook hate on this one. Just saying.
Any other discussion? That could be a good idea. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. And the ayes have it. Motion is carried.
You guys can all go to Kroger now and be safe.
All right, we'll move on to the approval of the proposed 2019-2020 instructional calendar. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Superintendent Mason?
Yes, thank you. We have completed the proposed calendar for the 1920 year. As you know, we try to work two years out that our community asked for that, our first year in operation. I want a special thank you to Mr. Mayo and his work. He continues to oversee this and works with a committee of folks throughout the district. This calendar does mirror the calendar that the board approved for 1819. It does include 175 instructional days, with using 5 of the stockpile days for in-service and for professional development for our teachers. And so with that, it is my recommendation to approve the 2019-2020 instructional calendar.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, the motion's carried. All right, move on to Resolution 2018-08 of the Arlington Community Schools Budget of Education, proposing 2018 summer school tuition.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Superintendent Mason.
This resolution is the authorization from the board to charge fees for students for summer school. This is the same fees amount that we have charged over the last couple years. And so with that, you will see for middle school students, we only offer this for 8th through 12th grade. For the middle school students, it is $200 or $300, and for high schoolers, a half a credit is $200 and a whole credit is $400. And so with that, it is my recommendation to approve Resolution 2018-08.
All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there any discussion?
The only question I had about that was, is summer school here, is that for somebody that needs to make up or needs an additional, can anybody take those classes? I don't know how that works here.
It first come, first serve is those that need credit recovery.
Okay.
We on a limited basis, if there's a reason that a student couldn't fit something in their schedule, then we allow them, but we do not allow them to take that to get ahead. The
Gotcha.
purpose of that is for those for credit recovery,
Gotcha.
of courses they've already taken.
Okay.
What's the enrollment usually in the summer?
Gosh,
50 people or
it
30?
it varies. I can't remember what it was last year. Mr. Goforth, do you?
It can go up to about 25 probably. It kind of depends on, like you said, if it's a full credit or a half credit. But that's say about 25.
So it's not a very large number of people, like,
It's not a large number.
All right, any other discussion or question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, the motion's carried. All right, let's go to 10F, Resolution 2018-09 of the Arlington Community Schools Board of Education approving the 2018-19 school fee schedule. We have a motion.
I so move.
Second.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. Superintendent Mason.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. This is, by statute, the board has to approve annually fees that will be passed on to students. You see that there are 2 types of fees. There's a requested fee and a required fee. What that means is requested is that we just requested of parents. It is not required for their child to participate. Those are linked to a course that occurs during the school day. The required fees are those activities that happen after school, clubs, athletics, cheer, those kinds of things. And so with that, there is not a big variation from what it has been the last couple years. Ms. Gore did send out to each of you each of those items that were changed. She highlighted those for you. You can see there's not a substantial difference. And so with that, I'll be glad to take any questions that the board may have. But with that, my recommendation is the board approve Resolution 2018-09.
All right, any questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. All right, we're now to the added item, 10G. Now, here's a mouthful, Mr. Benjamin, right here. Recommendation to award Durham School Services, LP, the bid for ACS pupil transportation using Durham's 12-year fleet bid for the term of August 1st, 2018 through July the 31st, 2021, and to grant the board's executive committee the authority to negotiate and approve the terms of said agreement. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Superintendent Mason?
Thank you, Ms. Williams. You have before you, as you know, it was about 3 months ago, we put out an RFP. Our contract with Durham was ending this year. We did put out an RFP for student transportation. We did have 2 vendors that responded to that RFP, one being Durham and one being First Student. You see before you the prices that came back in that RFP. When you compare the same fleet, this particular contract that we will be negotiating involves not only Arlington Community Schools, but it also involves Germantown Schools, Collierville Schools, Bartlett Schools, Lakeland Schools as well, and it was one contract. You know, we will continue in the shared services for transportation. The group of superintendents agreed and recommended that what would be best is the Durham 12-year fleet, and that is the section that is highlighted for you. You will see that the increase from last year on the Durham bid for the 12-year fleet is 8% versus the 40% for First Student. I will tell you, First Student was at a disadvantage because they will need to purchase buses, and they already don't have boots on the ground. They won't have buses and things of that nature. So you can see the increase over 3 years that their RFP had, and so for the total for a 3-year increase with what I'm recommending to the board, the 12-year fleet is $194,272 versus the competing RFP, which would have been over $500,520. So with that, you will see those numbers before you. With that, it is my recommendation to approve Durham's bid for transportation with the 12-year fleet and everything else that Ms. Williams said at the beginning of that recommendation.
All that stuff. All right, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there any discussion or questions?
Madam Chair, one thing.
Mr. Rios.
As I understood, all of the other munis are approving this today
This
or
week, yes, that is correct.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, only the question I had was issues with Durham. Have we run into many ongoing? I know we had maybe some early on at
Yeah.
the very beginning, but
No,
doesn't seem to be any lately.
Yes, the first year we did.
Yeah.
And the bulk of those difficulties came as some of the things that First Student would experience as new was finding bus drivers. They were flying people in from all over the country. We have stabilized, and really the last couple years, the management of it has been minimal. Mr. Ruff oversees that for us here, and then of course we have our shared services. And we have been very fortunate. We have a very strong bus lot manager, and she does a wonderful job of managing those and also works closely with our parents as well. So I have no reservations with continuing working with Durham.
Cool.
I think it will be the most seamless thing for us to do and for our families.
Good.
Mr. Benjamin, I might add, some of those issues of finding bus drivers was on us.
Yeah,
We had a wide open lot and a
Right.
pop-up tent
Yeah.
for housing for these people. Like, we
That's
didn't have
true.
So one of the early projects we did, was the office for them and.
Oh, yeah.
The bus
gave them
lot,
a-
yeah.
A place to stay, because people just weren't gonna drive out here and then drive a bus and then go way back home and then come back, but, so some of that was self-induced, we just didn't have time to address that, but,
Right.
so.
Good, thank you.
It's
I
true.
certainly think that I'd be very reluctant to take the first student when they're just trying to get started.
Yes.
Because they're gonna make a lot of mistakes and you're gonna be the end of the mistake. So I'm glad we chose, even though, of course, 40% seems unreasonable to me, compared to 4. But, we've got something going here. There's no use walking down a new path of first student and have to eat their mistakes, which I think we would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agree.
All right, any other discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Motion is carried. We need to
Madam Chair,
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the meeting adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.